The planet is restless, Captain. They want their podcast, and they shall have it. I'll beam down to the surface. You have the bridge. Captain, that is illogical. These are Trek fans. They will challenge and dissect your knowledge with great emotion. It is a mission fraught with danger, peril, and grave risk. Suggestions? Send in the red shirts.
Ladies and gentlemen, you asked for it, you got it. The line must be drawn here. No further. Yeah, it's the red shirts. We are back. First off, before we get started today, I want to apologize for our kind of erratic schedule. But, you know, we're three grown men. We're Trekkies, but we're grown men. We have families. We have wives. You know, life gets in the way sometimes of our missions, of our away teams, and it just happens. So I want to apologize for our spotty content, but we're going to make it work. We're coming back today with a special request that we've been getting time and time again. We are finally going to do an audio commentary for one of our beloved Star Trek films. But before we get into that, let me introduce my crew. Okay, first we have, let's see, who do I want to go with first here? I'm going to go with, we're going to go with Big Sexy, because he's so sexy. Sir, how are you?
Well, this is very true. I am very sexy, and people tell me all the time, they say, sexy, you're so sexy, but yet not understand my sexuality. I'm a very sexy man. Okay.
I was trying to avoid the word sexuality on purpose. That made it too real, okay? Speaking of which, I think you were in stellar cartography with 7 last time we embarked on a mission. How did that go?
It went very well. Okay. Very well.
All right. And next we have Mr. Craig J. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How's everybody doing today?
Now, the distinction I like to make with Mr. J is that he insists on wearing the Starfleet uniform from the movies, the Kirk movies, starting from Star Trek 2, with the red, what do they call the white turtlenecks and the red overalls, whatever they're called,
coats or whatever. Yeah.
Overalls.
Yeah, the overalls were the first Star Trek movie.
Overalls, like with Junior Samples overalls? No.
Okay, maybe overalls is not the right word. I'm going to go with the Next Generation uniforms that they wore at the beginning of season 3, because those are my favorite. But all right, putting all that aside, we are going to do an audio commentary for Star Trek First Contact. I believe Star Trek First Contact is one of 2 of the most revered Trek films going of all 10. The first being Star Trek 2, of course. But Star Trek First Contact, it was directed by Jonathan Frakes, and I think it was the most, and still is the most profitable of all the Star Trek films.
Really?
Mainly because it features probably the most popular villain of Star Trek, a villain that I think has become overused or was overused, the Borg. I remember seeing it. I don't want to, I have my opinions on the Next Generation crew and their films, how that worked for me. Anyone else have any brief comment about this movie?
Well, I think, with most of the Next Generation films especially, I think they really never transition fully from a TV mindset to a film mindset, and you can see that in this film. I mean, it's not bad by any stretch, I'm not saying that at all, but you can see it doesn't look like it's really constructed as a film. It's constructed as a TV show trying to be film.
I can see that. I definitely could see that. I think Insurrection is even more guilty of that, but I think that's a valid point. Craig, what do you got on this movie? Just briefly.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember the effects blew me away at the time. They really did some good work on that. And the story wasn't too bad.
Well, and again, for me, my thing I've been saying all along is that I just don't think the stories, including the stories that they crafted for the films, I don't really think any of them spoke to the strengths of this crew. This crew not being an action-oriented crew. That's my main problem with all of the films, including this one. But I think if you had to pick one TNG film to watch or to show someone to get them on board Star Trek, I think this is the one. So here's what we're going to do. we are going to. Craig and I are watching this from a download off of iTunes, and as anyone who downloads from iTunes knows, that there is a meter that they make available at the bottom of the screen. So, what we have done is, because one of our crew members, who shall remain nameless, does not believe in the glory of iTunes, and I don't either. I really don't either, but be that as it may, it's the only place I could find the movie. He's watching it through other means, and he does not have the beginning of the film, the credits, if you will. So we're going to start this at a point where we all can sync up. So what I want you to do is, through whatever means you're watching this in whatever player, put your marker at 2:45, 2 minutes and 45 seconds. If you do that, you should be in black right before the camera pulls out of Picard's pupil, okay? And we're just going to do a simple countdown here, okay? Everyone ready?
I'm ready.
Yep.
And here we go. On 3, 2, 1, play.
All right, pulling out of the eye.
Pulling out of the eye.
Pulling out.
Picard doesn't look too happy, does he? And those are the uniforms. Those are my favorite uniforms right there. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, we got a big cube here.
Lots of Borgs.
Cube. The Borg Cube.
How many Borgs do we see in the series and the movies that are not humanoid? I don't remember. Do we see any?
I
don't think we have.
I don't think we do. That's a good point. The Borg don't like four-legged creatures, I guess.
I guess not.
Some really good Steadicam work here that was sped up, apparently.
Yeah.
Picard's getting Borgified.
Borgified?
He's having a dream, I think, right? At this point.
Well, we don't want to... Oh, that's nasty. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
There he is.
Nothing like the spike in the eye.
My man, look, he just took some bad meth.
I think the spike in the eye thing comes from a lot of those alien abduction movies.
Yeah,
that whole thing where people quote unquote report that they've been
this
worked
kind of
on.
tripped me out.
Yeah, it's the old "you thought you woke up but you were still dreaming" sequence.
Done very masterfully in Aliens. Remember that in Aliens?
Oh yeah.
That thing looks like an old DVD player. No, I was just having a bad nightmare about being Borgified, that's all.
Being Borgified again.
What do you guys think of this? This is the first time we see this starship, this Enterprise.
It is
Like
very
it?
cool. I like it.
Well, that's part of my problem. They seem to have these films just to blow up an Enterprise, to unveil a new Enterprise.
It's a little too
Yeah,
big for me. It's not really cozy. You know what I'm saying?
Cozy.
Yeah.
I
Cozy.
never thought of a starship as cozy.
The
No,
Enterprise
me neither.
D, that was my Enterprise right there. The Enterprise D.
No. Give me the A.
If you want a cozy ship, get Defiant. There's cozy.
Yeah,
That's right.
That's a good point.
I do like the uniforms, by the way. I like these a lot.
See, I don't like these.
We talked about this, yeah. This is the first time we see these uniforms, too. I think these look more realistic, like what a quasi-military outfit would wear, with the colors underneath. But they
When
are...
did Geordi lose that Alice band around his eyes and get the contacts? Well, I don't remember which movie that happened in.
I don't know, but when did Gates McFadden become so fine?
Oh, here you go.
I'm Team Gates all the way. Forget about
Here
Sirtis.
you go.
I don't like that design. It's just too many. It's too busy.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I
those
love this.
ocular implants are weird looking. Oh,
I love this part right here. This is Jonathan Frakes doing his directing debut. Watch this. I love that.
He sounds excited.
Well, he got sunned by Starfleet. Starfleet said, "Keep your ass over there, Picard." I wouldn't be too happy. Are these new comm badges too, with the bar going across the? You see on the communicator?
I'd have to go back and look.
Ruckus kind of got a pompadour thing going, doesn't he?
The George Lucas Buffon.
So we get a Troy callback to those famous lines in Best of Both Worlds when Picard says, "We've engaged the Borg." I do like this bridge, though.
I do as well.
No, internally the ship, looks okay. I just don't like how it's so looks like it's been stretched, outside, for lack of a better word.
I think we just saw the red shirt too, by the way.
Yeah, I just will never like the gray with the colors underneath. I just don't like that.
You're right. It
If
doesn't
anything,
it doesn't speak to the camera very well. It's kind of bland for camera.
Q, you like the TNG uniforms. See, I like the DS9 uniforms.
Yeah.
With the color just around the shoulders.
Yeah.
And that really, accomplishes the same thing as the gray does when you look at it.
Lieutenant Red Shirt, set a course for Earth. Yeah, that's never happened in Starfleet before.
I was going to say, he's pulling a Captain Kirk right now.
When Data's a badass, you got problems.
That's a harken back to the "go to hell" Spock statement, if you remember.
Yes. Star Trek 6, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This is the baddest scene of the whole movie, guys. It's my favorite scene right here.
It looks good.
There's a Defiant.
It should not be in this fight.
Why not?
It's too small.
Oh.
It is small.
It's considered a battleship, though.
Yeah, but it's a dinky battleship.
It has a crew of 2 people, but other than that...
Well, everyone else is dead, I guess. And what's with the Worf little sash thing, anyway?
He's worn that throughout the whole series.
I know. What is he, Miss America or something, man? Get rid of it.
This is dope right here. This is the first time we see a dogfight in Star Trek, period, isn't it?
No.
I mean a fluid one, where the ship's actually moving.
Oh, okay. Whew.
I'll tell you what, all the makeup in the world can't hide Data's wrinkles, boy, I tell you. Now, see here, the bridge, the view screen is not a glass window.
Not that I know of.
Well, you just saw the wall. It dissolved into a view screen.
Right.
See, that's called Deus Ex Machina writing. He just knows how to all of a sudden destroy the Borg.
Mm-hmm.
When they've been struggling with that for the whole series. I love the way the camera moves on these ships right here, man.
At some point,
that is dope. I'm sorry, Mark. What were you saying?
We're gonna have to have a conversation.
Yeah.
about exactly what a director does versus what a cinematographer does.
Oh, that's
so
easy.
I can know who to blame here.
That ship was like, let me get the hell out of here. What's going on? This is one of the most chilling moments of the whole film.
Having a little whiskey over there, are you?
Yeah, what's going on?
That was iced tea, you degenerates.
Yeah, right.
You know, when you look at the size of like a Federation Enterprise type ship as opposed to the Borg Cube, the Cube should not be able to maneuver in a dogfight. It's enormous.
I don't think the Cube is about maneuvering anything. Like you said, they come and wreck shop. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what they do. Here we are. Deal with it.
We missed Riker with Worf. You know how to fire phasers, right? You know, Craig, you are right. The effects in this are pretty mind-blowing for the time. This is very chilling. I thought this was a good structure right here. This line. Everybody got
conveniently. Quite convenient.
So they went into the time wake, and they see the present, which is everyone's aboard, but now they go into the past.
Yeah.
I never really understood that. And here's where the movie falls apart for me. We get some kind of sense of how, I guess, society rebuilt itself after whatever world war that they always reference in Trek, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's Alfred Woodard looking good as hell.
Ugh.
She is sexy, man. Come on.
Not when she's fussing at Picard. It's like, woman, give it a rest.
Not when she's what?
Fussing at Picard.
Oh. Every time I see, what's the actor's name?
James Cromwell?
James Cromwell. I just think of him saying, "That'll do, pig. That'll do."
See, I'm going to go way, way back.
Revenge of the Nerds. Revenge of the Nerds, right?
Way, way back. 1974.
Stretch Cunningham?
He was not Stretch Cunningham.
Yes, he was. No, he was Stretch in All in the Family. Maybe his last name wasn't Cunningham, but...
Okay. He was on a show with Conchata Ferrell called Hot L Baltimore. He played
I remember
the proprietor of a hotel. Yep. That's where I know him from. Get you a pimp hat like his, too.
What they need right now was Wesley. He could have solved this,
God.
and the movie would have been over.
Someone kill him and get it over with. Well, if you had Wesley in it, he probably would, be, trying to do something, and my man Jake Sisko would be hiding under a table.
So, Mike, I think what we saw there is the ball from the cube was actually going back in time and pulled them with it, but as they were going, for some reason, they saw the future as well, or the present, outside of the wake.
They saw a glimpse of it
as
they were getting sucked in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Does this take place before or after the events of the Voyager finale? Anyone remember?
I don't.
I think this is before.
Because they destroyed that sphere a little too easily. It seems like a really the strategy of the Borg apply here sounds just like from Nemesis, that really god awful strategy to get them to gather all the pieces of data and all that stuff. Seems like going back in the past to stop Starfleet from the Federation from being created. It's a little bit too convoluted.
And if that was the case, why didn't the Borg just do that in the beginning, from day one?
I guess they thought humans were punks. I almost said Earthlings. I can't believe they've never called us Earthlings in Star Trek. Well, thanks, Doctor. Can I get a second opinion?
He's dead, Jim.
Yeah, it doesn't. He's dead, Jean-Luc. It doesn't roll off the tongue the same.
No.
I'll tell you, Picard looking pimpish in that coat, though. I like that coat.
That should have been an action figure. Picard in pimp coat.
It's funny looking at it here. That set looks just way too clean. I'm just seeing that for the first time now. Looks way too clean. She's not having it. Now, ironically, she cursed before Big Sexy did. How about that?
Hey.
Data's looking kind of threatening there, isn't he?
He's trying.
What's this, a Terminator now? Come with me if you want to live.
The audience laughed at that line. Greetings. I think Crusher missed that day of medical school where they taught you how to keep the patient comfortable, because that does not look comfortable. Yeah, how's that work? Alfred's like, please, let's get through this scene. My head is hurting up against this thing.
It's always fascinating that they inject through clothes. The clothes could be full of all kinds of stuff.
That's a good point.
Interesting.
What? What's so funny?
God, just seeing this brings back all these memories, and a lot of the things I didn't realize were quite that cheesy as they really are.
It does look a little cheap, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What year was this released?
Oh, good question.
Because it's probably looking great in the when we watched it back then.
Is it me, or does Data have kind of a Pat Riley thing going on with that hair? Got a little too much slick back in that thing.
Okay, so now we have, this is the homoerotic scene where we have Picard and Data stroking the phallic missile.
Hi.
Look at you get him a side eye. A boyhood fantasy. The language is so different now when you look at it this way. Not in the Me Too age. Forget it, Picard. Not happening.
Oh, no.
She's just looking down and saying, these guys are stroking that missile.
It is creepy.
Yeah, it does. Oh, hi. Yeah, it does. Yeah. Guys, we could have reshot that. Now, I'll give Marina Sirtis this.
Yeah.
I saw her at a convention up here once. Baby has got rump. Okay.
You said that before. I don't see it.
She is. Woo! I don't know what pill she took that day, but she walked by. Pow!
Is that Tilly?
Hey.
That looks like Tilly.
No. Same kind of hair, though.
Oh, here we're going to horror movie mode. Looks like Alien.
Yep.
I was going to say the same.
Yep. Exactly.
Red shirt number 1.
Well, somebody's got
She
to
looks
go.
scared as shit, doesn't she?
She's probably Tilly's daughter, right? Or granddaughter.
Granddaughter.
Or something.
What? That's supposed to be a harrowing moment. You're laughing. Picard just went into Professor X mode.
Oh, man. What was Frakes thinking?
I wonder how many takes this corridor shot took with Patrick Stewart bumping into the camera. Slow down, Patrick. I'm walking backwards here. Slow down. Did they ever establish environmental protocols for the Borg in the past?
Not that I remember.
No, because I think Borgs need oxygen as part of their biological portion.
They say it gets really hot. Does the Borg need heat?
Oh. I've never heard that before this movie. Before them trying to take over environmental like that. No, you're right.
Picard sporting that Chess King shirt. Craig, what's 39.1 degrees Celsius? You might know better than Big Celsius.
I damn sure don't know.
I cannot do that calculation.
F.
You know, Picard could have changed clothes. I mean, come on, man.
Who's the punk rocker sitting at the station to the left of Picard there? Is that Pat Benatar? It's amazing how people can they take over these starships like it's no big deal.
Well, isn't it because they assimilated Picard years before? They learned everything he does, right?
Yeah. But this is a new ship, though, right?
True.
Alfred's having a flashback to her role in Miss Everett's Boys. No Tuskegee experiments on me. We get a little Easter egg in this scene. Nurse Ogawa looking good. The audience went crazy at this scene. I remember that. I love this character in Voyager, but I'm not a big fan of the holograms, what they did with them.
The EMH?
Well, not just EMH, but holograms in general. They took way too many leaps and bounds in Voyager. Was it Voyager where they started? There was one episode of some Star Trek series where there was a whole village of holograms.
That was Voyager.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. What's up with Worf's eyebrows right there?
What's up with Worf's ponytail? And what's with the Captain Picard, leisure suit vest?
Well, they all wear that underneath, don't they?
That must be burning up.
I know. Looks like Worf has a sty or something. This is the badass moment right here. Right there. I remember when they were producing this film, Frakes did some sort of interview, and he said, "Yeah, it was all about making the characters seem badass or something like that." And he talked about that shot right there where Data catches the rifle.
Mm.
I was like, really? The TNG cast? And once again, we get that whole village square set that I complained about before.
Oh, yeah.
And the cantina shot.
There you go.
Without the aliens.
And look at poor
I know.
Troy.
I know.
So, look at her. Sign him up, Joe. I got into the story. You ought to know.
Why did they really gave her nothing to do in this film, did they?
And it clearly shows. She's like, I'm getting paid for this. Jeez.
And why does my man got a tambourine around his head?
That's his pimp hat, man.
Okay.
I'm just going to see tambourines now. Thank you.
I guess Marina saw the script and said, "Oh, I get to stretch a little bit by playing a drunk." That's the only thing I can see her wanting to do that. Would you say it's a little sexist that the one female member of the crew has this scene where she's drunk and ineffective?
Didn't they just do that on Discovery? Right.
Oh, with Tilly, right?
Yeah.
She plays drunk very well, though. I'll give her that. Is it me or is she looking like Katie Sagal?
A little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. In Star Trek TNG, the French have British accents and Beta Zeds have British accents.
True.
I just realized Worf and Troy, I guess they've gotten completely over each other, huh? No kind of recognition there whatsoever. See, it seems like this that, I don't know, it's so slow. And the slapstick that Deanna is playing, or Marina's playing at, it just...
Doesn't fit.
That scene didn't work for me at all. I guess it's intended to establish Zephyr Cochrane as not the genius we or the crew or Starfleet expected him to be. But it's just...
Right. He's a drunkard.
Right. Which is a good concept, contrast to play on the contrast, but I just feel like they could have done it better. Frakes is into the canted camera angles. They look like he ready to kill somebody, but by the way, I like the sash, Big Sexy. I don't know what your problem is. I like the sash. Worf, wear the sash, man. Wear the sash.
Worf, you look a little festive, which is cool.
Wow.
Which is cool.
Here we see a scene where I don't know why they even put the emotion chip in the script. Right. Why even have that in the script then if you can just deactivate it? Why?
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
I think this is the best Gates has looked in the whole franchise. I love that hairstyle. Okay, that sounded a little festive too. I'm sorry. That sounded a little happy.
Yeah? Be who you are, Q.
Okay. Now, Mark, you were saying that you didn't like, or was it you, Craig? You didn't like how they made the Borg more zombified looking?
I don't remember saying that, actually.
I think you said it, Big Sexy. See, this is the first time we see these Borg in this kind of zombie kind of effect. Whereas on the series, on TV, they were just pasty white. But they got the bigger budget, so they had to kind of make those Borg look a little bit more, I don't know, had to make them pop a little bit more.
You see, the thing is, they're not really zombies. They're more like army ants. They're coming, and you just got to deal with it.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about the makeup, though, specifically. They made them
Yeah.
look a little bit more elaborately here.
Well, like you said, they try to go horror more than doing what they do.
Right. They know good and damn well Picard is too old to be doing this. How you say it, Big Sexy? Worf in the jackpot? You know, one thing about this, what they did with the Borg here, when they get their shields up when they adapt, I like what they did on the TV show more than what they did here. They kind of changed the effect.
See, again, they're making changes
See right
in
there.
the film just because they can do it. That's not a good reason.
In the TV show, they had like these little screens that came up.
Yeah. Yeah, I like little sequential screens. Yeah.
Yeah, like from Young Sherlock Holmes. I don't know if you remember that, but it had that effect.
Well, I suppose they are Borg, so they get better and better. They revise their tech.
Sit down. That was a horror trope that you see in every movie, isn't it? But I would say this is a pretty well cut together sequence. It moves. It has a good pace. Picard, cold blooded right here, man. That's not right.
He helped.
That's kind of what Killmonger did in Black Panther, right? Big Sexy with his girlfriend.
Yep.
So I did notice during the scene they played a few bars of the music they would normally play when you saw Klingons
Right.
in the original series movies.
Yeah.
Which I think is very cool.
Yeah. So Picard got separated from the rest of the crew?
Somehow.
Cut off, yeah.
Now this setup here, I hate it. Although this is a pretty good effect.
Ugh.
That thing that Data's head is laying on, it looks like something I bought at the Museum of Natural History here in Philly a few years ago. I think I spent, $30 for it?
Yeah, the more I'm seeing this, the more I think they were trying to go for a horror vibe, like Alien.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what they do.
And in this, to me, the introduction of this character kind of really, I don't know, defanged the Borg, if you will.
Yeah.
She's a South African actress.
Alice Kriege, right?
Yes.
Kricher. Alex Kricher.
Okay. Now, the Borg Queen was portrayed by a different actress in the Voyager finale, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm.
No, that was her, wasn't it?
I don't think
I don't
so.
remember.
I could be
I
wrong.
do not remember.
I don't think it was. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man. It's interesting to think that if this were produced today, they probably would have cast a man of color in that role, in Zefram Cochrane's role, or made it a little bit more diverse. It's just interesting to see where we were back then.
If they would have done that and gotten Ralph Woodard, I'd have been fine with it.
Wow. Is this the scene where they have the worst line in any version of Star Trek ever? I'll point it out when it comes up. Tell you what, whoever did LaForge's line, they need a commendation. that haircut is sharp. Well, Mott the Barber is killing it.
Mr. Mott.
Look how thin he looks. He looks good, man. That sounded kind of festive too.
And yet another piece falls into place.
This is just not what I would expect to see. And I know that what they were trying to do, they were trying to play against type with casting this guy as this wardrobe and this concept for Zefram Cochrane, but it's a little bit too much. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I never really liked it.
And face it, when you hear about someone historically, the myth never is accurate.
That's true. That's why I don't mind that they played against that, but this is a little bit too far, I think.
There you go. She's doing something else this time, not just being a drunkard.
That's true. Here we go. The worst line in Star Trek history. The whole audience groaned when he said that in the theater. I remember it clearly.
I agree.
So stupid. You know, the other issue I have with this film, and I don't know how you get around it, it's the same issue I have with Return of the Jedi. You're cutting from the planet surface where everything's calm and tranquil, and then you cut to this. It's just so jarring. But I don't know how you work around that. That's pretty creepy. I like that. That's... No, seriously, I like seeing that because that really gives you a sense of how I don't know, evil the Borg are. They're not really evil.
They just don't care.
How ruthless they are. Yeah.
Yeah, ruthless. Yeah.
It's not evil or ruthless. They're like army ants. This is
Right.
what they do.
You're right.
There's no
but you know what, Big
character
Sexy? You're right, but that's why I don't like the Borg Queen, because she makes it more like it's a conscious thing they're trying to do to conquer everyone. You know what I mean? She puts a face of sentience on it, which I don't like. Stellar cartography, Big Sexy. You were just there.
Yeah. I left 7. We're not going to say it.
Yeah, stop. Yeah. This is where I think he may have broken the Prime Directive right here.
But I think he has to tell her, right? No way around it.
I love how Picard just went into pimp mode again.
he's that dude. He's the dude, man.
But Picard is, if you take Kirk off the table, Picard is my favorite captain.
Those uniforms have got to be burning up. That's probably why they're all sweating.
I don't know if it's because we're looking at it on a digital copy. At least Craig and I are. But even the lighting looks a little bit too harsh. Everything's in focus. It just makes it look very cheap. I see how the background is clearly in focus. You need that to go out of focus to pull
It's a little bit out of
actors
focus.
out. What I love about Alfred Woodard is that she really seems scared because all he did was he probably touched a green screen or something, but she jumped like she heard that sound for real. There's another scene, she's absolutely brilliant.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant's a bit of a stretch, okay? And she's pointing that phaser at people. She needs to get belted. That's what she needs to do.
Oh my God.
I'm the captain. Do not point that thing at me.
She doesn't know that. This right here, this is a great effect.
Very good.
But he did diffuse it, though. He's got a nice, smooth Mac vibe to him. I'll give him that.
It gets a little dodgy right there, that effect, but that was impressive. I didn't like this character at all, though. So you say she's a South African actress, Craig?
She is.
Boy, she really got that English accent down.
Mm.
If I were directing this, I would have had her keep her accent to make her more different. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that sounds. I don't mean to be insulting or anything.
Oh God!
But you know how, like, in these movies, the bad guys always have a British accent.
Mm.
Same principle.
I tell my girlfriend all the time that if I ever did a semester over at London or in London, I would have grabbed that accent and never let it go.
You'd be a bit shaky, would you? Crickets. Why was she directed to play this character like that?
Jonathan Frakes, talking to you.
She's playing it like she's like a sexual type
Yes.
of minx or something. I don't.
Mm.
You know what? I could have taken this whole other direction, but I'm going to leave it alone.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of subtext going on here. She's about to blow on him. A lot of subtext.
Hey now!
Here we go. Oh, God.
And why is she so intrigued with Data anyway?
But that's
He's not a life form. He's an android.
But that's the thing. The reason this is so ridiculous is the only purpose for that interaction is so that she can get the command codes. She's going through a lot of trouble just to do that.
Yeah. If she can do things like turn on the emotion chip, she could probably just tap in and get that code.
Exactly.
You know, she's trying to turn on an android. You can't do that.
That Borg sounds Swedish line was kind of funny.
You on board? Hey.
That's how the black people. That's a black person question right there.
They're them talking about the money that doesn't exist. I think we were talking about the other day on the show.
Yeah. They're gonna walk down this hall, and she looks genuinely scared as shit. This is brilliant. I love this scene right here. Just watch her.
But why are the Borg not worrying about them? That's what I want to know.
Well, because they're not any threat. Right? Isn't that how Borg operate? If they don't see you as being any type of event,
In type of threat, yeah, they're not going to mess with you. They got bigger fish to fry.
I got better things to do. One thing I just noticed in watching this is that they don't have holodecks anymore in this Enterprise. They have holo suites. Now they're a threat.
I see. Okay.
And this is just fan service right here. Now there we have Neelix.
That's right.
I'm loving that dress. Loving the dress.
Oh, Picard can rock the Dixon Hill pimp coat. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
You can, yeah.
Now I don't know if we have any Curb Your Enthusiasm fans here, but we're about to meet the actor who plays. He played one of the Browdies, the husband in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Browdies.
Remember the episode where they had Alanis Morissette?
Yeah.
He was the husband in that episode.
Oh, shit.
That's him.
That is him. I like how the Borg just walk into the club like, yeah, what's up? Here we are.
To me, I just see this as a lot of money spent on a scene that really wasn't really necessary.
It's showing
Yeah.
that the captain had a little bit of a thing on the side there, it looks like, eh?
Excuse me?
Hmm.
Who is this? Oh, baby. It's not what it looks like, baby.
You thought Picard was all like straight laced, but in the meantime, he popped into the holodeck for a bit of, every now and again.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Crusher wasn't giving it up, so. But they go through all this just so he can get a rifle to shoot them?
This reminds me of what they did in Voyager with the Herogen and the whole World War II setup in the hologram. It's like, all that for nothing. When I used to work in a hotel, I actually stole one of those champagne buckets once. Don't ask me why.
This is kind of weird, too. This shot right here. That right there. What did they put in case? They encased them over their uniform in the Borg suits?
Looks like it.
I guess you can make the argument that they went through all that because the Borg had developed, had adapted to the phasers, so they couldn't adapt to bullets fast enough.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But didn't what's the Alfred's character's name? I forget her name.
Shit, I don't know.
She had a gun. What happened to that gun?
Well, she knew that her gun didn't mean squat against a phaser.
Don't look at Jordy sporting his Oakleys. Jordy know he got some swag, don't he? Oh, I forgot we got Barclay in this. Not a Barclay fan, are you?
Not at all.
I'm not mad at you.
The one time,
he was doing the $6 million man.
He was.
the one time they introduced him was enough. They didn't need to make him recurring. I didn't like that at all. And how did he ever achieve the rank of lieutenant anyway?
Yeah, that's a good point because even in Discovery, Saru, who was an avowed coward
Yep.
from a race of cowards,
Yep.
at least he proved himself. I gotta tell you, fashion in the 24th century,
Is not good.
no.
Where do they shoot this? In Northern California?
Probably.
Hey man, let's go camping. Okay.
Are you guys seeing what I mean about when they come to the planet's surface? It just seems like everything crashes to a halt.
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Yes. And Jordy's looking a little too never mind.
A little too what? What? Please.
He's acting like a bad theater coach. I was like, come on, man. And Cochran is not buying it at all, which I do like. Even though he has a tambourine on his head.
They're going for humor, but it's just, I don't know.
You can't switch from, abject horror to humor that, what's what I'm looking for? Abruptly.
Yeah, yeah.
You just can't.
A lot of subtext in that shot, too. Is this where Worf and Picard they start to throw down a little bit? Because I love that scene, too.
Worf knew better.
Yeah, somehow they could just plug the Borg implant into their little tricorders and read it. Sure.
Yeah, doesn't he call Worf a coward at some point?
It happens after the zero-G walk.
I hated that scene.
Yeah, I did too. Well, yeah. It's just, see, and I made the point about the pacing and the editing in the previous scene. At this point, everything comes to like it's deadened. It's like a leaden and dead. But they had the concept. They had a lot of stuff to work with here, but it's just, I don't know. Part of it for me is that I don't buy this crew as an action crew, and you see that when you come down to the planet. There's nothing going on.
They're trying to do too much. Is it action? Is it horror? Is it light comedy? It's all in one. No, it's not. You got to be consistent here.
I think there is a way to have done it. I just don't think the screenwriters here, whom I don't recall their names, but again, it was the same thing at Return of the Jedi. I felt the same way when they were cutting from the surface of Endor to Luke fighting Vader on the Death Star. I kind of felt the same way.
Here we got some notes from Star Trek, the movie. Did you catch that?
What's that?
The music in the background.
You're right.
Sound a little bit like Star Trek 1.
You're right. When they approach V'ger, right?
Yes, that's right.
Nice catch. You're right, Craig. This has the same feel. The music is like when there's no music. It's like empty, and it feels
it's toned down. It's toned down a bit, but it's there.
It has the same feel as motion picture. I bet you that took like 20 takes for him to get that. What's up with the Borg on the left there, who's still in his Starfleet uniform?
Well, they're not known for their fashion sense. They just, whatever you get absorbed at, that's what you're wearing.
That was a weird choice there too. All of a sudden he gets a little snotty. Why? I just don't think all this was properly motivated. Why she's willing to go to such length to help Data as opposed to just making him do it. Big Sexy, I think you put it best. It's things like this that make this seem like a TV production. Everything's taking place in this one little, well, not little, but this one room. It's kind of slow. There's a little spurt of action, but nothing really happens, and it's so contained. And this goes counter to Borg mentality. They eschew humanity, don't they? So why would she help him become a human? I will say that I think Brent Spiner was second only to Patrick Stewart in terms of acting throughout the series.
I don't know. I think as the show wore on, Data got more and more away from being Data, and it looked a little bit like an ego fest for Spiner.
You think so?
That's just my vibe.
I remember reading somewhere that Patrick Stewart was consulting with Brent Spiner as in terms of acting choices he should make. So for Patrick Stewart to question to seek out advice from Brent, I mean that says a lot.
It's a bit of a silly waste of time, man.
Oh, the kiss, yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing Borg about that.
No. Well, she's playing that minx role,
Yeah.
And why is Data reacting to pain? He can't feel anything.
Well, he did say he's mimicking how a human would react. Now, does that mean he felt pain? And it didn't.
Well, remember they just added some human skin to his arm, so now he can feel pain. Yeah,
that's right.
So now we've got Data in the warp core, right? In the warp core room, engineering. We've got Picard, Worf, and I forget the other guy's name on the hull, and now we got this. A lot of stuff going on here.
Picard, Worf, and expendable guy.
Actually, that actor is Neil McDonough, who's I'm sure you recognize him, right?
Oh, yeah. I definitely recognize him. But let's face it, in this universe, please, we all know. 3 walk out, 2 are coming back. Guess who? Now, it's like, Craig just mentioned this. Why would the Queen go to all this trouble to put human skin on him? What? What does she want from him? Is he like a chew toy?
Well, that's what we said. She pretty much said she just wants to be able to get the command codes for the Enterprise. She said, I'm willing to help you get what you want if you can help me get what I want. It seems it's a flimsy motivation to go through all that trouble.
Because isn't she tech based? Why can't they just tap into the computers and just figure it out?
That's what Greg was saying. Why not just tap into Data's? If she can remotely turn on Data's emotion chip, Craig, you said this. Why can't she just grab what she needs out of his positronic matrix? I also think the music should have done something here to make. The music is a little bit too subdued here for me.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Worf making sure that strap is close by. He's known as Luke Skywalker. You would not need that to enter the cave. Yeah, to hell with you.
Pretty obvious rope work there.
Now, when you're outside on the Enterprise and there's somebody dicking around at the deflector screen, how about you just turn it on? And press, burn them up like cockroaches? It's like you can't focus power through that thing.
I think the issue was the Borg had taken over so much of the ship they couldn't get access to the control room.
Riker and Geordi need to get in the gym and work out. They're running way too slow.
I mean, I think this scene it's a necessary scene. It's a good setup, a set piece, action piece. But it's just, I think they went too literal with the fact that they are in zero G.
Mm.
It's just a little bit too slow. Worf's like, just when I need a batleth. That's right, he does have something here.
Got the little Worf blade.
See, that's why you always carry. You always carry.
Oh, here you go.
Now, Craig, you're probably the most scientific of us all. Would that injury, with his spacesuit being punctured, would that cause any, serious damage? Like, would he have been dead in real life?
I think that cut, obviously the pressure is coming out of his suit, so he'd be okay for a while until the pressure's gone.
Right.
Then he'd start oozing out of the hole, basically.
Oh.
Yeah.
And isn't it like freezing out there in naked space? So when you freeze to death first?
Depends, I think, yeah.
You saw the mist coming out. That's the pressure, like Craig said, coming out of the suit. So,
right.
He's probably got about 10 minutes of life. I don't know.
Something like that.
Now, a Borg will not spin his head after reacting. He will just react. He wouldn't like spin his head. Hey, what's that? And then move. He's a Borg. He's just gonna go.
This was pretty cool. How he escapes here, but again, it's just staged so slowly. Could have been a lot more exciting.
And I always thought when they do scenes outside like this, I don't think they ever really get the spatial geometry right. because I think a humanoid on the outside of that ship would be a lot smaller.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. But they did have a master shot where we saw them. They were pretty small.
They should be smaller. I mean, because that, deflector dish is enormous.
I do like the fact that it seems like they stay consistent with the spacesuits that we saw in motion picture.
Yeah.
With the multicolored panels on the sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, is this a deflector dish at the front of the ship?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're way right, dude. I guess I never really put it together like that. Yeah.
Somehow he got assimilated through his spacesuit. Interesting. I mean,
well, those nodules, they just shoot them right through, right? But that brings up another question. These are humanoids. The Borg are humanoids that have been assimilated. How are they surviving in space?
Fair question.
Yeah, that
they need to breathe.
Big Sexy, you're way right. I never thought of it that way. They're way too small for that deflector dish.
Way too small.
Oh, they're way too big, I mean.
Too big, yeah.
Now, I know you hated this line, Big Sexy, right? I didn't mind it. And the music here, I like the swell. It's triumphant, but it's just, I needed more. They could have done something different with the soundtrack to make it more exciting. Actually, that last shot, Big Sexy, I don't know. They look like they might have been in proper proportion.
Nah, I don't know. I tend to disagree. Because, again, this is the Enterprise. It is enormous.
Mm-hmm.
Enormous.
Well, I don't know who the DP was on this. It's funny, I'm noticing this now. Maybe it's because I'm watching it on a high-def screen, or I don't know. But everything looks too in focus.
I think it's because he's seeing it in high def.
Like, you can see how clean everything is. Everything looks too clean and sharp. In terms of the backgrounds, they should be allowed to go out of focus a little bit more. I like this little monologue he does. It sounds like a really good character point. He doesn't want history to glorify him. He's just in it for the money.
Gotta get paid.
I like that, though. Okay.
He takes trains. Interesting.
Okay, now that wasn't me.
Oh, you heard that, huh?
Yeah. Put down the Cavassier cube.
That was my Pepsi. I'm the guy that crinkles everything, trying to get the jujubes out of the box. My man look like he's been putting in some work, and Picard gonna turn right around and tell him, "Yeah, get your ass back down there. Go hand to hand if you have to."
And I think that scene this scene on the dish is taking too long.
The spacewalk scene.
Yeah.
I would agree. Here we go.
Okay, here's something to ponder. When a person gets assimilated, how do they know what to do? How do they know to forward the Borg agenda?
Hang on, Big Sexy. I'm gonna address that. He just called him a coward.
Truth hurts.
You got to give it to Picard. He doesn't back down. I do like that.
No, Picard will pull your punk card. He'll let you know.
But Worf was right. Now this is controversial to me. Beverly should not be saying that. And she should not be, she's a newcomer. She shouldn't be telling our crew what to do.
Anything. Sit back and know your role.
But Beverly shouldn't be sitting there saying, okay, let's carry out the captain's ridiculous orders. She's a doctor, for God's sake. She should notice PTSD symptoms and...
Yeah, but she's also a bridge officer, too. She's got to carry these orders out or it's a mutiny.
I know, but, we saw this at Nuremberg. I was just following orders. There are stupid, bad orders. Put it this way. If you're going to have this scene, it should not be Lily talking to Picard. It should be Beverly or one of the crew that we know talking to Picard right now.
No, I think it's okay with Lily doing it because she doesn't have that command structure and doesn't have to show any deference. She can just say, look, you're wrong here, man.
Well,
or if someone else does it, they have to adhere to the chain of command.
That's a good point. I give you that. But still, I don't like this outsider telling our captain what to do. I'm sorry. It makes the rest of the crew look weak or gullible. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Can I just say, I appreciate the fact, it's amazing that they let, not that they let her do anything, but that they portrayed this character, this African-American character with her natural hair. I think that was kind of revolutionary back in this time.
Oh, and then you see the D Enterprise there too.
What's his famous line? The line stops here.
Stop. The line is drawn here.
The line is drawn here. That's the most ferocious we've ever seen Picard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can you imagine Kirk in that scene? He'd be like, "Yeah, we're going to draw the line here, people. I'm going to make them pay."
And the Posner would be strong in that scene.
Oh, God. And, of course, he'd be shirtless.
He'd be like, "I kissed a hurrah. I'll give this a shot. Why not?" He broke the Enterprise D. I wonder how much those things are worth now, if they still exist.
Oh man, Trekkies eat that up.
This is kind of stupid here. His all of a sudden his change, Doesn't it seem odd that he just changes right there?
Yeah, he did kind of snap a little bit. It's almost like it's two different movies too when you think about it. The people on the planet have no idea what's going on up here.
That's exactly what I was suggesting. Yeah. It's just something missing right here. He tells her, "We'll draw the line no further." Then he quotes Moby Dick, and all of a sudden he's like, "Okay." Now see how the crew is looking stupid? It's like, oh wow, she did it. Wow. We've only known this guy for 7 years.
Let's hope those self-destruct codes have changed since the original series. Huh?
Greg, I don't know how you feel, but when they showed that shot of the rocket, it just looked way too clean.
I think you're just not appreciating the great quality.
I do have to say, that's the one thing Star Wars has over Star Trek. Everything in Star Wars looks it looks like it has some gravity to it. Everything looks dirty and gritty, like more realistic. I know that's sacrilegious, right?
Yeah.
I love this scene. See, these are boys, man. Squash it. Let's keep it moving.
Only some of the things.
I got something in my eye. Worf still look like, I'm not letting that go, though.
No, Worf carries a grudge. So do I, actually. But
really? No, not you.
Shut up.
Picard's on his feelings.
Nothing more than feelings. And he's quick to blow the ship up, too, man. Damn.
All of them are.
Somebody's writing a check for these things, They ain't cheap.
Yeah, how do they build starships if they don't have any money? I guess, what do they pay you in food in the 24th century?
Yeah, maybe.
People must be eating well, then damn.
More attempts at humor here. Was that supposed to be like a CD?
Yep.
We all know, of course, that they'd be streaming that.
Right.
There would be no hardware to deliver music. That's another thing I'd like to know, like, what is the status of civilization at this point? Are they... I mean, clearly they have some development because he pulled out this yellow thing that contains music or data. Yet and still they're launching in a combustion fuel engine or rocket.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make sense also they don't need spacesuits?
Yeah, interesting.
And they got out into space fast, didn't they? I remember the audience cheered when they saw the nacelles come out. That's pretty cool.
If I could own any publishing for a song, I would love to own Magic Carpet Ride.
Yeah.
You will never starve living off that song. It's always in movies and commercials. Always.
Yeah, that's true.
When the ship explodes and the cells pop out, it reminds me of the opening of Enterprise.
I knew you were going to say that.
It looks just like it. Then again, maybe they co-opted it for the opening of Enterprise too.
It's been a long time. Out of here. I remember that shot right there was used in the trailer. And here we have the beginning of the last act, I would say. And the structure of this film is so much like the way all the other films are done, where it's Picard being the action hero, defeating the villain, which has never worked for me.
No.
In Insurrection, it was him fighting, what was his name? I forget his name. One of the Baku, I think it was, the bad guy. Well, let's see, this was 8. And then we had him fighting Shinzon at the end.
Yeah, that was bullshit.
What came after this film? Was it Insurrection? This is number 8. Yeah, number 9 and number... Yeah. And you always had Riker split... You always had Picard separated from Riker.
What was after Insurrection? Nemesis.
Nemesis.
Okay. I mean, they have cool titles. I'll give them that.
I don't know about Insurrection. That's not that cool.
I like Insurrection.
I would have said Rebellion or something. Well, that's too Star Warsy.
Exactly. You can't use that word.
How about Uprising?
Nah, that sounds too civil rightsy.
Oh, wow.
I'm wrong. See, another thing I think, Kirk, and I'm going to get mail on this.
Here we go.
But Kirk would have tagged the Borg Queen.
Oh.
This is Kirk.
She doesn't have a vagina, I don't believe.
You don't know that.
We saw her spine coming down out the midair.
Yeah, that's internal. We don't know what's cooking under there.
No, all that is cybernetic. Her
Kirk
shoulders and to her head is human. Or
Kirk would have found something.
Wow. He would have found the holes. That's what you're saying.
He would have found something. Yes. He would have done something.
A little bit of retconning. You have to give yourself freely to the Borg to become an emissary for the Borg, apparently.
Fascinating. The Borg are worried about that self-destruct countdown going on. Must know it's happening.
They did set a self-destruct, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is a bad idea because we know, doesn't it kind of remove some of the tension from all this? If worse comes to worse, the ship blows up and humanity wins. It doesn't. I will give him the makeup on the Borg Queen is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's very good.
Data looking like a Spot.
Hmm. That's why they're not worried about it.
Yeah, but then there's a little twist that's going to happen, which it never really is fully explained. Honestly, Data's a liability, seems like, because he's been manipulated and used too many times throughout TNG. There's a reason Picard doesn't try to fight Data, because that would ruin the surprise we're about to see.
And Data would whip his ass.
Well, that wouldn't stop a Starfleet captain. That wouldn't stop Kirk. He still try to fight him.
And would take an ass whipping. But Picard, you're right. Picard's not that Street Fighter guy.
He's not. I wonder which was more uncomfortable for LeVar Burton, wearing those contact lenses or just putting a barrette across his face. I'm not trying to be funny. That's a serious question.
Oh God!
I would think the contacts would be more annoying. What is his reaction right there? Is he reacting to the starship? I guess he is.
They could numb his eyes though, and he wouldn't feel a thing. But it would be an inconvenience. I'll say that. Because I wear contacts. When you first start wearing them, if you've never worn them before, they're uncomfortable as anything. It took me a few weeks to get adjusted to it. But when you first put them in without any numbing drops, oh man, it is uncomfortable. Because I always think of Michael Jackson in Thriller. Ugh, that looked uncomfortable. Yeah. In fact, I wouldn't have done it. I'm like, stunt man, I'm not doing this.
This is so weird, the way this develops here. He shot the torpedoes.
So he did it on purpose, obviously.
That was so corny. Why didn't Data just do this from the beginning? Like Patrick Stewart's really climbing up a rope with just his two arms. You know, he's standing on a step stool. And if Data could survive whatever that stuff is that they're trying to climb out of, why didn't the Borg Queen survive it? I mean, her flesh would have come off, but why wouldn't she?
You know what? And I never liked the idea of a Borg Queen or a single entity behind them anyway.
Well, that's what I was saying from the beginning. It ruins the mystique of the Borg.
Yeah.
So Picard was working out a little bit there. Huh? Got some guns.
Well, he knew. He knew he was going to be on, a little shirtless, little bare arm action.
See, that doesn't make any sense to me. The Borg Queen, I could see her flesh being eaten away, but her consciousness or her whatever, her mind would still be intact, wouldn't it?
Her mind would still be in the computer chips, yeah.
Right.
And Zephyr Cochrane seems a little bit too surprised at all this when he developed the technology, doesn't he?
Mm.
Yeah, development, but actually working is two different things. A lot of times these super genius types will make it on theory, and they test it, and like, the shit works? Cool.
It's so small. It's about to get a lot bigger. That's what she said. Yeah, I think Patrick Stewart did hit the gym a little bit.
Oh, yeah, he got it together. Because he read the script, he's like, "Oh, I got to run around like this, so let me go hit some curls."
This is kind of a cheap-looking effect for Data's substrata underneath the skin. That doesn't work for me at all. Look at that. What is that?
Yeah, that is chintzy.
It looks very much Westworld of the original movie.
I love that movie.
It reminds me of like the control panel in the Star Wars Death Star from the first movie.
Mm.
Oh. Now, since they didn't blow the ship up, thankfully, how do they recall all of those escape pods
I was
back?
thinking the same thing too, but I can let that go. But did they ever stop the self-destruct?
They must have.
Yeah, they must have.
Data did it.
Oh, did he? Okay. I remember in the theater, I was wondering, oh, what aliens are going to come out of that ship? And then when the Vulcan walked out, I'm like, oh, okay, right, of course. That reminds me of Close Encounters right there.
Yeah.
Of course, we've never seen a Vulcan ship look like that, have we? That looks like that one.
I don't recall seeing a lot of Vulcan ships at all.
Just a weird That's a weird design for a ship. Although I guess when you're flying through space, you don't have to worry about aerodynamics necessarily.
And why would it come and land? Why wouldn't it try to communicate electronically?
Well, I mean, you could ask that question of any time Starfleet lands on a planet that they want to make first contact with.
But in Starfleet, they usually get someone there undercover and observe for a while. They didn't do this. Klingons. The Vulcan just showed up like, "What's up? Here we are."
Maybe they've already been observing them.
A conundrum.
I got to tell you, I don't know if Big Sexy you'll agree with me, but the future doesn't look very bright for you and me. I'm just saying.
Oh, Lord.
Craig, I'm going to hang out with you more often.
QX over here.
I'm just saying. Lily somehow made it through. I don't know.
You know, that little...
I was going to say, I like the score.
The little ascot around Zephyr Cochrane, yeah, a little too speed race for me. I think this entire scene was fan service.
What, right here? I like this.
Yes.
He's smiling, though. I don't get that. I have to say, I don't know if any of you guys saw Minority Report with Tom Cruise.
Oh, yeah.
A while
Great
ago.
movie.
It's the only movie where we see why you don't want to shake the hands of an alien. You don't know what that dude is bringing, where his hands been. Bullshit.
The movie doesn't explain. The movie, unfortunately,
INVU.
does not explain how the Vulcans will probably have seen the Enterprise and scanned it, and seen the beam up signatures, and all that stuff, and how it didn't fit into the time that they just showed up in.
You're
They
saying
didn't
that
even try and explain that.
You're saying that the Vulcans would have detected the Enterprise.
Oh yeah,
I thought they addressed that they had the Enterprise had cloaked their signature or something. I don't know. That's a good point. There you go.
Ugh.
It's stupid, I know, but they explained it.
What about when they beamed up? I bet the Vulcans would have detected that. Oh well, we'll forget that.
Exactly.
What do they do? Slingshot around the sun like they do in the original Star Treks?
That's a good question. How did they get back to the future?
That's right. Yeah, now how do they do that? That's what I want to know.
A lot of temporal horsing around with in Star Trek.
Well, I remember one of you pointed out that when we were talking about Search for Spock, how it was silly that they managed to retrieve Spock right at the same age as he was when from Star Trek 2. By the same token,
Right.
It's like they've polluted the timeline so much, it just seems really kind of like a stretch that they would go back to the future and everything's perfect like they left it. You know what I mean?
Right.
There we have to pull out. Into the stars. And credits.
Yay!
So, Big Sexy, real quick, the difference between the director and the DP. The director is basically the guy that's responsible for everything. He has his hand in the script and putting together the crew. He's the guy he's the boss. The buck stops with him. The DP, or cinematographer, is the person who is responsible for the look of the film. Like if it's harsh lighting, if you want a cooler look, or a warmer look, or you want dimmer lighting or harsh lighting, that would be the DP, cinematographer. Now you brought that up. You brought that up while we were watching. I'm curious why you did. Did you see something you didn't like? Something you didn't like?
In a lot of films, especially nowadays, people say, well, so-and-so directed it like this, or it should have been like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the things they see, I'm like, well, isn't that the DP who sets the shots up? Now, again, I am not an expert, obviously, but I don't see how, like, if you took a scene and a person, and obviously you direct, How do you go about setting it up? What do you as a director do with like a given scene on a script? How do you transform that to a visual presentation?
Well, I mean, every director has their own style or technique. I can throw something out there. I think, you get the screenplay. As a director, you get the screenplay. As you're reading the words, I think you're seeing images in your head, right? And you have certain experience knowing, well, I want the camera to go be on a dolly for this shot. Because you've got two people talking to each other, but I don't want to just stay on a static shot. I want to dolly from person A to person B. Or you have a hallway shot, and people are walking down the hallway. Well, I don't want to put the camera at the end of the hallway and rack focus as they walk towards the lens. I want to walk with them, so I got to hire a Steadicam guy. These are the things that the director goes through. Now, when it comes to how it looks, in terms of how it's exposed on film and how the light is played with, that's the
DP.
That's the DP. Now, the director may have some skill in cinematography. A lot of times you see cinematographers or DPs bumped up to become directors. You also see it with editors a lot too. So everybody has their own style. Like Woody Allen, he worked a lot with I forget his name. Not Roger Deakins, was it? But you can look at like in Spielberg, that's another guy. I think he works with a lot of different types of different DPs. But if you look at like E.T. versus Minority Report, let's say. Minority Report, if you look at that film, it has a very like grayish wash over it. It looks very cold. And I'm suggesting that he wanted the DP to bring that to the film because it's in the future, it's a little bit dystopic, as an example. Whereas E.T., I think Darius Kanji was the DP on that. Very warm, a lot of colors, more saturation.
I'm opening myself up here, but I've never seen E.T.
What? You've never seen E.T.?
Never seen it.
Wow. I don't know what to do with that.
It was just something that never really touched me.
I don't think it's your type of movie, I have to be honest with you. Craig, you've seen E.T., right?
I have.
Okay, good.
I did not rewatch it or anything. It wasn't one of those movies I wanted to rewatch.
Wow. There's Magic Carpet, Ryan. How much did they get on that? How much did ASCAP pay for that credit right there?
Oh, they got a check. They got a check.
It's different depending on how it's distributed, right? If it's a movie and global and all that stuff.
That's true. One of the best scores for the Star Trek series, we're hearing it right now, was used for TNG.
Yes.
A little extra flourish here. There you have it. So, real quick, we just took a look at it again. We can pause our playback. Having seen it just then, any thoughts? Anything new that you noticed, or what are your thoughts?
Well, again, I don't like how drawn out certain things were. Going back to the spacewalk scene, I didn't like that at all. I didn't like the spatial geometry. I thought that was wrong. Again, our talk of directing, I see what you're saying, and this could have been better. This could have been a lot better. The script needed to be changed a little bit. They're trying to shoehorn too much into it.
So trying to do too much.
Trying to do too much comedy. Is it horror? Is it comedy? Is it sci-fi? Pick one and go with it.
Craig, your thoughts?
Possibly a little bit too much going on, but I think it's tough for them to move, as you said, from the action on the ship to the ground where everything is very slow and almost boring. Mm-hmm. But there's no other way to tell that story, I don't think. They maybe could have done something if maybe one of the Borg, a lone Borg, was managed to get down to the planet somehow. That would have added some spice to what was going on down there.
That would have been, yeah. See, there
Yeah.
you go. I think you said in the previous show you should have become a screenwriter. That's brilliant. I agree with you 100%.
They definitely should have wrapped up the end explaining how the Vulcans, who are much more advanced, have detected the warp signature from Zephyr's ship and have said, "Oh, these guys have entered the warp, the warp travel phase. Great, let's go check them out." But then, okay, they hid the warp signature of the Enterprise and all that. But what about people beaming up? And they didn't explain any of that stuff. And then, of course, the Enterprise suddenly zooms off and suddenly has a way of going back in time. And, just I don't know how they did that, but
I gotta think they explained it. We can go back. I mean, on our own time, we can go back and look at it. I think there was just a throwaway line that we may have been talking over it, but yeah, you're right. I mean, my take on the film is not going to be much different than what I've said all along. To me, it's just an example of this is not the best. All of the TNG films, they just don't service the cast that well. The brilliant cast that did brilliant drama with just smatterings of action throughout the 7 years it was on air. And so to put them in action set pieces just didn't work for me. Having said that, I would say this is the best of the TNG films, but for all the things that I criticized it for, that's why, if I had to rate it, I'd give it maybe 3 out of 5 stars, 2.5 maybe.
Yeah, 2.5.
Looking at it here, the thing I noticed, and again, I maybe I'm not being fair because I'm looking at it on a much better screen than when I saw it on a big screen, and I don't know if the projection, when you project something, it breaks down the quality just a little bit. But looking at it here, everything seemed it seemed TV-ish, and that made it seem a little bit more dated to me. All of the things that I noticed watching it in the theaters that I didn't like were amplified. I'm looking at the deflector array scene mainly. I'm looking at the holodeck scene where he goes into the big goodbye. Everything looked a little bit too clean, a little bit too in focus, so nothing really popped out. It looked very, very TV-ish for the first time to me. So, if someone asked me which of the TNG films should they check out to see if they get into TNG, I would probably say, well, you know what? It's funny. If you want to experience TNG like the TV version, you might want to watch Insurrection. I don't know, because that one had a little bit more of the drama component to it. What do you guys think? Would you show this film if someone said, "Hey, I don't know much about TNG. I want to see one of the films"?
If you're limiting it to films, that's hard, because if a person comes to you and says, "I want to learn about TNG," why would you start with a film when that's not where it really comes from?
Well, I know, but I'm just for the sake of argument. Yeah,
it's like telling someone who watches, "Hey, tell me about Sex and the City. Which film should I watch?" Do you watch the show? No. It's two different things.
Let me just ask this. Let me just ask this quick. Of the TNG films, which one do you think is most indicative of the TNG cast, if that's the right word?
Indicative or accurately reflective?
There you go. Accurately reflects the TNG cast. Now, that's a tough one because I don't really think any of them do, but would you pick this
I would
one?
say the opening of First Contact. When Generations. When Worf is getting promoted to Lieutenant Commander.
All right. Yeah. Okay. All right.
I see what you mean about that. Yeah.
Craig, you agree?
I agree.
Okay. All right. Well, there you have it. Star Trek First Contact.
This has been fun. I hope everybody enjoys our smattering of commentary throughout.
Smattering of commentary, yes.
Well, there you have it.
So we'll have to do this again. But by all means, I want everyone to leave your comments. Let us know what you thought. Let us know what you thought about the film. I get a sense that people are going to say they love the movie because this was, like I say, probably the most popular next to Star Trek 2 because it featured the Borg. The Borg were really hot at this point. they hadn't been overused, which I think they became overused when Voyager came out. So I just remember it being a very popular film. So, all right, crew, where should we head off to next?
I think if we do this again, we should do it on a medium where people can comment, maybe like Google Hangouts or something, so we and the audience can watch the next movie at the same time. Maybe they can throw their comments into the chat room while we're watching it together. Might spice it up a bit.
You mean comments like, please shut up, I'm trying to hear the movie.
Could be.
You don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Mike is talking too much again.
Wow.
Walk right into that.
And with that, we are out. Peace. Red Shirts is not endorsed by Paramount Pictures, Viacom, or CBS. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. Star Trek, the Star Trek logo, and all names, pictures, and audio of Star Trek characters are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and/or copyright holders.